favorite things to look for when I'm out on an archaeological exploration is pottery. Pottery shards, they tell so much of the story of an Indian village or of a particular period in time. Now, when I first started with artifacts back in the 1980s with my buddy Jerry Wagner up in Oscoda, I found, without exaggerating, literally the remains of over 1,400 pottery vessels based on the rim shards. So I became a little bit of an expert on pottery, and I loved the pottery because I found by far more of that up there than I did of lithics or stone tools. So when I came down here to live in Saginaw, I found pottery to be very sparse, at least where I was looking. It was very sparse. And there were a lot more stone tools that I found. But I want to take a look at the pot. I want to show you some of the pottery pieces that I have found, shards here in Saginaw over the last couple of years, primarily over the last year, really, and show you the differences in what I believe I have early woodland pottery, as well as, sorry about the smoke, folks, as well as middle woodland and possibly a couple pieces of late woodland pottery. Pottery came in to the Native Americans here in Michigan at the end of the late Archaic period, and it became, it's what let the Native Americans have a more sedentary lifestyle where they could, it allowed for food storage and things, and so they were able to stay in one place and not only hunt but farm for their food. So I'm going to turn the camera around and I'm going to show you some of the pieces that I found, or Gil and I both found, primarily this past year. Hopefully from the penny you can get some idea of the size of these two pottery shards. These are the largest ones that I've found out on the out in this particular area. This one, you see, it looks very rough textured, and it is, but that's from cordage that was pressed into the wet clay that would help break up air pockets in the wet clay that would explode when fired. So that's not a particularly good example of cordage. I'll show you some better ones here in a moment. This one is rounded, as you can see. It's a base of a rounded pot, and it was rounded so that it would sit in the sand by the campfires. So these pieces, I believe, date back to the Middle Woodland era because of the thickness. And they were made both with the slab method, because being made with a slab method, they break jaggedly like this. If they were made with a coil method, some parts would still break jagged, but they would break on the coil lines. And I don't think I might have one or two that I can show you here. So let's move on and look at a couple more pieces. Now, these pieces are the sizes we usually find out there. They're minuscule. But here is a piece that I believe is Middle Woodland pottery. And I say that because it's very smooth surface, which happened more in the Middle Woodland pottery. I forgot to mention that earlier. It also looks like it's broken here and here on a coil line. So there's a straight line breaks that would indicate very strongly that it is Middle Woodland pottery. Plus, you can see the tempering in it is much finer than than like on this small piece. See how big those black pieces are in it? Now look at this piece and how small they are. And again, flat surface. Nice piece. Before I move on, here's one more piece from the collection I just showed you. And if you look at on the left at the pattern of the cord marking, it looks almost like it's a checkered pattern, the way it was overlapped and things. So I just wanted to point that one out to you too. Kind of cool. These pottery shards are rather enigmatic to me because they are not typical of anything that I found on a historic period site or prehistoric site here in Michigan, and yet here they are. They are fired much harder, They are of a much lighter color. This is a rim piece. See how it flares out at the top. Tempering is hardly noticeable, really. And very hard, though. Not fired the way early, middle, and late woodland were. Now, here's another. This is a very odd piece. This is pottery material. And what were they trying to do with it? Was this... I have not a clue. Not a clue. It's very mysterious. The shape of it is most unusual. It could just be a clump that was plopped down in and hardened by the fire. Hard to say. You know, as you look at it this way, it looks almost like a bit of an effigy face in profile. We got like a hat or headdress here. There's a nose and straight, then the straight down to the chin. I'm not saying it is that. Most unusual piece, though. This also very unusual. It is made out of the same material, and it is broken. I believe it would have been like a cupstone, small bowl, for, you know, personal grinding up of herbs and spices or whatever. But that is also of the same same pottery material. Very odd, very hard. Now, something else in Michigan. Slip was never applied. I'm trying to get the reflection off there, but I guess I'm not going to. A slip was not applied to pottery. This seems to have a pinkish slip applied to it. See that? Then over here, this piece at the bottom, that's a nice little rim shard. And the other pieces in this collection here are rim shards also. I don't believe they're historic period, but they're not like anything else I've looked at prehistorically either. Two other pieces I want to show you here, and then I'll cut this off. This is a pottery trowel. It would have been held in the hand and been used smoothing the pottery vessel on the outside, and it could also be turned and used on the inside. It could also be considered an effigy, but it is a very nice pottery pestle. This is something that a lot of people would walk past and not even pay any attention to because they don't recognize them so much as an arrowhead or pottery shard. This is another one, not quite as nicely formed as that, but it is flat on this side, and it has been used on this side for rubbing and for polishing, burnishing the pottery vessels. So, there you have it. These are a few of the, oops, I need to do it that way. There you have it. These are a few of the pottery shard pieces that Gil and I have found, primarily this past summer, but previous years too. So I hope you enjoyed taking a look at them. I think they're fascinating. The pottery is always fascinating. And I'll be back with you real soon with another video. God bless you all on the other side of that monitor. And don't you ever dare forget I love you. And I love America. God bless. All right, here is a selection of pieces. And I picked these out because they show different kinds of cord marks on the surface. The cordage, the only thing we really have tangible proof of it, with rare exception, are pieces of pottery like this where you can see the different types of cord that were used in crafting the particular piece. Now, one of particular interest is right here. This is cord marked, as you can see, but it's lightly cord marked. But you'll see here is an impression there and an impression there. That would have followed all around the circumference of the pot, the upper pot. Those are called dentates, where a stick would be, or something would be pressed into the wet clay, possibly for a decorative motif. And I don't, the only other thing I can think of that might have accomplished is some form of a communication. The dot patterns maybe were something that could be understood by a particular clan or tribe, or even, you know, and even just for a potter, the woman who crafted this pot, for her own reminder of something. So it could actually be a communication device, so to speak. If I flip this over, you can't so much see it here, but you can feel where it was pressed. It was pressed in here, and there's a little bulge on the back where that came out. This piece actually was submerged in water for probably over 1,000 years. You can see the cordage marks here. This is a very fine cordage, very thin cordage. It's probably very well made. The back side of it is exfoliated, so we really can't tell how thick it is. I believe that this piece probably goes back to the Middle Woodland also. Now over here, this is a particularly thick piece of pottery with large black tempering in it. You see the tempering, broken up stone in there, crushed up stone. That was also used to bind a pot together during the firing process so it wouldn't explode. But the thickness of it and the largeness of the tempering makes me believe that this could be Early Woodland. A little bit different type of cordage there again. As you can see, similar but not identical to any of the others. So pretty cool piece there. Now, moving down here, this piece could be a party to this piece, maybe the same potter, same era anyways, I would say. It is, again, you can see the cordage marks, you can see the rough black tempering that is inside of, that's been employed in it. So I would actually say that it probably doesn't match up, but that it is a piece of that same vessel, and that would make it, again, Early Woodland. This piece, again, was submerged in water for quite some time. It was found in association with this one and this one. This one was found by me, this one was found by Gil. I don't know who found this one. The back is in intact shape. It is darkened. You can see from the materials that were cooked in it, it's darkened. And again, you can see the cord marking on it. Another one, a little bit different cord marking again on it. That could indicate different time period, or it could indicate many things. This one, really nice cord marking on it. Again, it has that black tempering, which might be basalt. And here we have one that has a little bit thicker cordage, or width of the cordage. And the inside is not exfoliated, so you can see there's no real cooking residue that I see in that one. Okay, so let's move on to a little bit something different.